10 signs he's an emotionally unavailable guy. Hey everyone, it's Renee Slansky. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm a professional dating and relationship coach, and I help women from around the world build the love life that they desire and deserve, because life is too short. This week's question is, Renee, how do I know if I'm dating an emotionally unavailable guy? Truth be told, I get asked this question all the time. Boy meets girl, girl falls for boy, boy doesn't fall for girl, and then before you know it, girl has her heart broken. It sucks. That's why it's important to know the 10 different signs that are going to indicate whether or not this guy is going to be emotionally available to you or not. Number 1, his words and actions towards you aren't inclusive. There is no we, there is no us. Basically, it's just him, or you. It's never actually about the both of you together. I mean, you can be dating a guy for 2 weeks and he can start talking about us. You can date him for 2 dates and he can start talking about us or we. If you've been dating a guy and he's not actually including you in his words or in his actions, it's always him doing his thing and then him encouraging you to do your thing without him, then that is a sign that he is not emotionally available. Number 2, he cannot commit to any sort of concrete plans. Now, this doesn't mean that he has to drop down on one knee and marry you. What I'm saying is you can't even plan anything in advance because he's always got an excuse, or he's always like, I'm in an and basically he has this non-committal sort of attitude towards you and the relationship that you actually have as well. Number 3, he is inconsistent. A guy who is inconsistent, always hot and cold, basically saying that he doesn't know what he wants and pretty sure just wants to string you along for the ride. A guy who is emotionally unavailable won't have that consistent, stable sort of pattern that gives you that peace and that progress that you actually want in a relationship. If he is all over the shop, keeping you in limbo, never knowing whether you're coming or you're going with this guy, then chances are he doesn't even know either, and he isn't actually open to being able to give you everything that it is that you want and deserve. Number 4, he talks about his exes. Like a lot. So when you start dating someone, it's normal to talk maybe about past relationships, but it shouldn't be the primary focus of every single conversation. If a guy is constantly talking about how things were like with his ex and reminiscing and comparing and constantly bringing up her name, then you really need to understand that you're not just dating him, you're also dating his ex-girlfriend as well. Number 5, he has baggage. Now, we all have baggage, I get it, but at the same time, most of the time we're trying to work on it, or we're not trying to bring it into our present relationship. If a guy is constantly going through issues, whether he's talking about being depressed, having mental health issues, or just having things to deal with from his past or his parents or whatever it is, okay, but what is he actually doing about it? Is he using his baggage as an excuse to not being able to give you the relationship you want? Because if he is, then that is actually a choice that he is making to do consciously. Not to say that you can't date somebody that does have baggage, because we all have our own history. The difference is you want to make sure that you're falling in love with someone who knows how to deal with their baggage, so that you're not being weighed down by their problems and their past, and so that you're not missing out on the joy of what you can have together, afresh and anew. Number 6, you aren't a priority. Look, this is actually a major indication if a guy isn't able to give you what it is that you want, or isn't able to emotionally open up to you, simply because you feel like you don't actually fit into his life, and it's almost like you have to convince him that you do have a place, or you're always trying to fight for his attention, or you feel like you're constantly chasing him and trying to get some sort of effort out of him. If he is not making you a priority in his world, whether it's just in his time schedule, in the way he communicates with you and actually gives you that time and attention that you want, just at the normal level, I'm not even talking above and beyond, then this guy isn't isn't open to actually having any sort of relationship that actually takes the commitment of what a healthy relationship requires. Number 7, he doesn't want to meet the friends or the people or the family that are important to you. If a guy sees your friends and family or meeting your friends as family as a really big deal, that's an indication that he isn't ready to deal with the commitment that that sort of act actually represents. For you, it might just be something as simple as, hey, these are the people in my world and we're being together and I want you to be able to meet them and I want them to meet you. Totally normal. But for a guy who's emotionally unavailable, he will see that as, whoa, way too much, simply because it's almost like he will feel too vulnerable to them, just like he feels too vulnerable to you, and he will make every excuse in the world not to actually get to connect with the other people in your world. Which brings me to number 8. He will use excuse after excuse after excuse. This guy has every single excuse that you can possibly think of. You may suggest something to him thinking, oh, I've already thought of all the possible ways he can get out of it, and he will still come up with a reason not to follow through. He will say one thing, but then his behavior will be completely the opposite. Or he will do one thing and then he'll say something completely the opposite. And that's probably why there is a lot of confusion in this type of relationship, simply because there's so much inconsistency and you're continually putting all this effort into the relationship and you're not actually seeing any sort of reciprocation back. As I said, girls, if a guy really wants to be with you, then he will do anything and everything to make that happen, and he won't have a list of excuses and reasons of why he can't make that happen. Number 9, he is selfish. Hey, so if a guy is emotionally unavailable, then chances are he's going to have very selfish behavior. Now, this will be that he's constantly always thinking about his needs over yours, or he's constantly always putting himself first. And basically, that kind of brings us back to the other reason before, where you don't actually feel like a priority. It might be something simple as he makes a cup of tea, but he doesn't make you one even though you're sick and dying on the couch. Or he does some grocery shopping and he doesn't actually pick up that thing that he knew that you really wanted. He only is in his head. And that's essentially where he wants to stay, because he assumes that stepping out of that, lowering down his boundaries and being vulnerable to you is too much of a high risk. Lastly, number 10, communication is ambiguous. Communication is the glue of a relationship, and obviously great communication is something that you build over time. Guys that are emotionally unavailable will always have sort of that gray, ambiguous type of communication with you because they don't really want to admit where they're going wrong. They usually have a sense of guilt, or they just don't want to deal with their own issues. Essentially, they don't like confrontation. They will say what it is that you want to hear, but then their actions will say something completely different. Once again, they are keeping you in not the twilight zone, but the gray zone, that weird, wishy-washy sort of ambiguous place that you never actually know whether you are coming or going with this person. So my question to you is this: do you believe that you are dating someone who is emotionally unavailable? And secondly, what are you going to do about it? Truth of the matter is, relationships are hard work, even the great relationships. That's why they're. But let's not live in a fairy tale land. At the end of the day, if the person that you're with can't be emotionally open to you, then you are going to have a lot more problems down the track. And one of those big ones is they'll never really be able to offer you the commitment that you want. So that's it for today's video. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have got a free training for you girls as well, which is the 3 ways to get a guy to commit to you. And if you want to know that, all you need to do is you need to click the link below, which is in the description box. And until next time, bye for now. Happy dating.